Okay, there is a downpour coming in right now. There it is right over there. It hasn't started raining yet, but it's about to start like in a couple minutes. I already titled the video Sudden Downpour. That's from a previous shower that passed over about 5 minutes ago. I just checked the radar like a couple minutes ago, so I'm like, it's gonna start pouring like any minute now. It's gonna start pouring actually before the 2 minute mark. I'm surprised it hasn't started yet. I mean, I checked the radar exactly 1 minute ago. When I checked the radar just before I started the video, the downpour was less than 2 miles away. Well in the heart of Queens. It was pouring over Elmhurst. Sunnyside, Woodside. In fact, it's already pouring down there. You see how low the ceiling seems to be over there? That's because of the rain. Or actually, that's just could be humidity. I don't know, but it's probably already raining. Well, the clouds already have overtaken the sky. Still hasn't started raining yet, though. The radar didn't look too intense, but there was some yellows and orange on radar, so the edge seemed pretty close. So, yep, the downpour's really close. In fact, it's really, really close. Yep, it's already starting to rain just a little bit. Visibility looks really poor down there. Just started raining, guys. Just started raining. Just started. In fact, I see what looks like a wall of water down there. Oh, dang. Yeah, it's about to start pouring, guys, so I better start heading back before I get completely soaked. So, yeah, just started raining, so, yeah. So let me quickly check the radar. I'm going to have to be really quick about this. Well, it's raining moderately right now. There's actually clear patch, but look what's going on right now. Looks like I was right to title my video Sudden Downpour, because it's raining pretty hard. But the heaviest went just to my north, like just a little to my north. The heaviest of the rain went. So I'm like on the southern outskirts of this downpour. Darn it, hold on. Hold on, let me get under the tree so I could. There's the edge of one of the downpours there. Like the cloud. I just checked the radar. There's heavy rain just to my north, around the Horse Harding Expressway, around Corona, the neighborhood of Corona Park, and Corona, Queens. They're getting some very, very heavy rain right now. It's going to be just south of LaGuardia Airport, though. The core of the rain is south of the airport. The airport is about 3-4 miles away. It's like a mile or two away is where the heaviest of the rain is. Let me check the radar one more time. So yes, So I just checked the radar. There is very heavy rain. I don't mean heavy. I mean like torrential rain just like a couple miles away. I'm surprised it's actually not that heavy here. It's like kind of a drizzly, showery rain. I thought the heaviest was going to pass over me, but it kind of jogged to the north. There's some more heavy showers to my west and southwest, which as the showers are moving east, northeast, might come over my location. But it's getting very late and it's time for me to go to bed. I have to do the census today, so very tired. Look at that, the moon's there. See? So of course I took an oath to uphold, my job. So of course I can't do anything to, I can't say what I'm doing, like exactly what I'm doing or who, because I'm also sworn to protect people's privacy, which I always respect. That's not right if you give away someone's information. Anyway, the heaviest rain is away, but you can kind of see how the sky looks just black here. I think we're about to get another downpour. I think there's another cell that's forming. So let me check the radar one more time just to. Well, there's another little downpour coming in, kind of. As I said, the heaviest of the rain is literally like a couple miles away. Tops of the clouds are around 30,000 feet. No lightning though, but there's a chance that it could develop into a thunderstorm in the next 5 or 10 minutes because of how heavy the rain's getting, how tall the clouds are getting. So it's very likely that the tops of the clouds are already below freezing. So there already might be some processes that will support lightning and thunder, maybe intracloud. Surprised I haven't seen any lightning yet, even though the radar looks really impressive. Like, wow. I'm going to check the tops again just to make sure, the storm is not exploding, because there's a couple echoes that are just to my west. And plus the sky looks kind of just menacing. You can see how, purple the sky is, with the reflection of the street light. That's probably because of the clouds and precip. Let me check the radar again. 32,000 feet. Tops are now around 32,000 feet. Still getting just light rain. No lightning so far. Though the tops are very high up, so could become a thunderstorm very shortly. Maybe in the next 2 minutes we might see a lightning flash. Distance now wise now because it's around Flushing and getting close to Bayside. So we just had a downpour, sort of downpour, but areas around Flushing, Bayside are about to get absolutely drenched. I believe they might get up to a half an inch, maybe close to an inch of rain. A very quick hitting downpour. So let me check the radar. Look at that. Just got some big drops of rain that just literally just went like crazy and then it stopped. I knew this was going to happen because I saw some of the stuff that was back building on me. And also there's something developing over Brooklyn. I mean, that was that was literally like a 10-second downpour. It was kind of like you turn on the shower and then turn it off. That literally lasted 10 seconds. I think that's it. I mean, I'm pretty close to the edge of it. The radar showed me right on the edge of the heavy precip, right on the edge. It's I mean, look at that. See how, we might get one more burst like that. Just maybe one more. But for that, I'm going to have to look down to see if there's any more bursts coming, similar to what I just experienced. But you see how it looks clear, broken over there? The burst is literally between here and where I am, between over there and where I am. There might be another burst. And it kind of elongated into a band of heavy showers. So I don't think this is going to develop into a thunderstorm anymore. Oh, the buses are still running. And it looks like, no, we're not going to have any more of this downpours. Oh, never mind. Oh, never mind. This is the last one. Oh my God. Here it is. I was wrong. I thought that was haze what I was seeing. Nope, that was actually the downpour. Now the visibilities are actually improving down there. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Okay, that was the back building part. And now the visibility towards Manhattan look really good because they just got cleared of the downpour. That was literally like a 1 minute, not even a 1 minute downpour. That was literally a 20 to 30 second downpour. I was going to say, no, it's going to clear. It's not going to do anything. But nope. I was wrong. I mean, look at that. It's still raining, but clearly the visibilities down there are really good. In fact, look at all that clearing over there. But we're getting stuff from this direction. So see the base over there? We might get one more pass of it. So, wow, that was intense. That was quick, but it was really heavy. Usually as showers leave, they sometimes like doing one more burst before it all ends. I think there might be one more. I think there might be one more burst of torrential rain. Possibly. Because the visibility's got good, like it got really good, and now it looks hazy again. That could be the humidity, but that could also be one more burst that is gonna pass over us. Let me check the radar to confirm, but yeah, that was really intense. Hopefully the screen isn't black right now, like it sometimes is. Hopefully the screen isn't black like it sometimes is when I go back and forth, because sometimes it continues to be black. It's still raining a little bit, and there's a couple of isolated big drops coming down, so for a second there I thought I saw a meteorite. Oh, I just saw a flash. It was like in that direction. That could have just been like not a hallucination, but like a trick of the eye. But don't get me wrong, there are thunderstorms in the area. So let me check the radar just to make sure nothing surprises me, especially that little batch of clouds that's still kind of hanging over us. Just want to make sure. Well, the downpour ended, but there is still some rain coming down. There could be one more burst, but because it stopped raining for like a few seconds, and now it looks like it's kind of like raining a little bit again. Saw those couple spritz. Let me look at the puddle there for like a few seconds. So it's still raining a little bit. Looks like it's all ending. Thank you all for watching. I'm ending the stream now since basically the rain is over. And the only reason... Oh! I just saw lightning! Looks like it developed into a thunderstorm. The eastern part did. Not sure where the lightning came from. It probably came from down there, where the core is. I'm not sure if it's the part that backbuilt it over me like 20 seconds ago, because usually parts that backbuild, usually the tail end Charlie is usually the more intense part. It's basically a broken line of storms that extends from New Jersey to my southwest all the way to like New England. This line was severe warned when it was in upstate New York, but it no longer has any severe weather with it. No wind, no hail. And even in upstate New York, it wasn't really like a bow echo. It wasn't like a derecho. It wasn't like what happened in Chicago. I mean, it could be the remnant of it. And I saw some over there. Just saw a flash over there. I mean, I should be basically focusing my attention this way because that's where I think the lightning is coming from. I'm actually going to check lightning maps to make sure getting the, like, so I could actually find out where the lightning is coming from. If it's from over here, from this shower, from this like cluster that just passed over. So I check where the lightning is likely coming from. It's actually not from this cluster at all. It's most likely coming from the northeast, or from the northeast over there. Not from this cluster that just passed over, but it's actually from a band of thunderstorms over Long Island Sound, which, since this is northwest, this is going west, northwest to northwest, it's likely going to be, and that street is facing east, northeast, or east. The lightning would likely be over there, beyond those apartment buildings. And not from those clouds that you see over there, beyond those clouds. And it'll probably be distant lightning, like heat lightning. And there's also a couple of thunderstorms. There's actually a thunder shower that is over southern Morris County near Trenton that is moving east-northeast. The core of it, if it holds together and maintains its intensity, should pass over Brooklyn in about an hour or so. So I've been looking at the tropics. We're about to get into the J name. It's only August 11th today, and we should have, actually 12th today, and we should have our 10th named storm. Back in 2005, we didn't have our 10th named storm until just a few days before Katrina formed. And now we're having our 10th named storm 1 to 2 weeks earlier. So yeah, 2020 is a much more active season, even with the fact that we had record Saharan air layer interference. And yes, this J-named storm isn't expected to become a hurricane due to the fact that there's going to be so much dry air. And I'm tending to agree with the forecast. There's going to be a lot of dry air and shear, well, more dry air than anything, working against the system. Dry air has been actually the major factor why so many storms haven't been forming as intensely as they could be, considering how warm the Atlantic is. I mean, I think when it comes to like September and October, especially when the Saharan air layer is going to dwindle, you're going to have explosive development in the Caribbean. Explosive. You're going to have storms that could rival Wilma's intensity or Mitch's intensity. I mean, you couldn't be having storms that could actually potentially break records. Because unlike in 2005, which gave us the Atlantic's strongest storm, Hurricane Wilma, you didn't have a La Nina. You were having actually weak El Nino conditions. So it was actually kind of detrimental to development. But why did we have such a record season, even though the Pacific, the ENSO region, the El Nino region wasn't so conducive? It was because the Atlantic was very warm. You had a very warm Atlantic. You didn't have significant interference from the Saharan air layer, and you had a very active MJO. You had a very active Madden-Julian oscillation, also known as a convective helicity index. And the CHI, ironically, when it's in its positive phase, is actually detrimental to development because it allows for shear. When you have a negative phase of the MJO, or green phase, it inhibits or supports. It supports development. It allows for development when you have negative values of the CHI or a positive phase of the MJO. Negative CHI equates to a positive MJO. So the MJO is going to go positive late this month into September, which could be giving us a very active hurricane season. Which could give us a very active end of August and beginning of September, similar to what happened in '05. But there's a couple things to watch out for. And that is going to be the Saharan air layer, or better known as SAL. The Saharan air layer is usually is a inhibiting force, or it stops development from occurring. So the Saharan air layer, what it does is basically it robs moisture from the storm, and by robbing moisture, it stops the storms from. So dry air, as I said, basically does a lot to limit development, but it doesn't completely stop development. Shear, on the other hand, shear alone can do a number on the system. You could have the air you can have low CHI. You can have the MGO being in its positive phase, supporting development. But you could also have a lot of wind shear, and that alone can completely kill a system, because you're basically shearing the upper levels of the storm. You're shearing it from development, and very often that will expose the center, the low level center, to local environmental conditions. And when you have a low level center that is exposed, it's not going to be carried by the upper level winds, like the steering currents. It basically is going to follow the trade wind flow. You could still have a tropical storm that is devoid of most convection around the center, but instead of going, say, north away from land, like say you're traveling, say the storm is in low latitudes, right? Like instead of 15 to 20 degrees north, it's 5 to 10 degrees, or like 7 or 8 degrees north. Not where most storms go. And say, for example, there's a lot of wind shear because of thunderstorms from, say, South America. You're going to have a low-level exposed center, and instead of going west and west-north, instead of going west-northwest, it's going to go directly west into northern South America, and that's going to destroy the system entirely. And it's happened before. This has happened before, where you had a weak system that took a southern track, and because of wind shear, it didn't gain enough strength to basically pull away from South America, and it went into the northern part of South America, into Guyana and Venezuela, even passing over Trinidad and Tobago. So Trinidad and Tobago do occasionally get tropical systems. Usually they get weak systems. They never get powerful hurricanes, because powerful hurricanes usually go towards more to the north, like towards the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Cuba, and Central America. You could, like, once in a great while, get a hurricane to go into the, like, northern South America. Like, there at one point was hurricane watches issued for the northern coast of Venezuela for a hurricane when I was a kid. So it's not unheard of, but it's not common. Let me check actually on the tropical system right now in the Atlantic to see if TD11 has been. So after Isaias, we're going to have Josephine. So we're about to have Tropical Storm Josephine. Josephine hasn't been used yet, but we already have an active tropical system in the Atlantic, Tropical Depression 11. Like, okay, Josephine will be the 10th named storm. But keep in mind, we had a tropical depression that never became a storm. We had TD9, which never got named. So TD10 became Tropical Storm Isaias. It was TD9 that became was not named, And so right on the heels of TD9, you had TD10, which became Isaias, basically. So hold on, let me check on the status or and the satellite of TD11/Josephine to see how active. All right. So I found out where TD11 is going to go, and it's going to go out to sea, guys. Whether it becomes a tropical storm or hurricane or it doesn't, it's going to go out to sea. So basically, it might clip come very close to the Windward Islands, which is Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, and like the Northern Islands. And then, but it's not gonna like hit them, but it could come close, and then it's gonna go north towards Bermuda. So yeah, Bermuda is probably gonna get a tropical storm in about a week or two. In about a week, it's already a tropical depression, and it's getting sheared from almost the same direction that's moving. So it's not really shear. It's just that even though it's moving in the same direction as the wind, the upper level winds are actually moving faster than the surface winds. So you're having basically the upper level winds are outpacing the storm. So it's not really shear. It's more like overrunning winds. Shear is when you're having winds of different angles slash height. So say you're having south winds at the surface, whereas aloft you're having strong west winds, which usually supports tornadoes. That is directional wind shear, and with convection you could have tornadic thunderstorms. Tropics wind shear actually inhibits development, it weakens it. Tropical development can be hindered in several ways. Wind shear, where you're having, the direction of the storm, which way it's moving, being sheared off. Because the storm might be moving west, but you're having strong winds from the southwest, south, for example, even though because the storm's moving west. Or you're having wind shear from the northwest. Even if the storm is moving in the same direction that the upper level winds are, if you're having the upper level wind overtaking the speed that the center is going at, that would also cause the storm center to be displaced from the thunderstorms. Even though that's technically not shear, it kind of has the same impact as shear. But if the upper level winds and the storm center is moving at basically the same speed, you're basically having calm conditions, in reference to the storm. Imagine you're driving at 100 miles an hour going south to north, and you're having 100-mile-an-hour winds coming in from the south. You're going to stick your hand out, you're not going to feel anything. You're going to have hardly a breeze. I mean, if the wind suddenly stopped, then yeah, your hand will suddenly be thrusted back, as what is calm for the outside would be 100 miles an hour for you and your car. But if you're driving north at 100-mile-an-hour winds, and the winds are also coming from the south at 100 miles an hour, both you and the winds are traveling at the same speeds, you're not going to feel anything. So I was in a boat, going at about 15 knots. I expected to feel a breeze, right? But guess what? Going there, it was very windy. And I was like out on the deck because it felt nice. But heading back when we're heading north, there wasn't a breeze. I'm like, okay, we're moving at 20 knots, which is about 25 miles an hour, and there was hardly a breeze. The winds were like calm. It was kind of weird that you're moving so fast on a boat, but there's no wind. It's because the boat was traveling at almost the same speed as the wind, at about 15 to 20 knots. And you're having a south breeze, basically. You could be going at 150 for example, say you're flying in a plane at 500 miles, okay, not 500, or you're driving a car at 100 miles an hour in a hurricane, right? And you're going north at 100 miles an hour, and the winds are also going north at 100 miles an hour. And say it's a sustained wind. It's sustained, like because say you're like by the beach or something, or you're like driving on a road in the middle of the ocean that's suspended 50 feet above the ground. For you, you're not going to be feeling anything. You'll probably stick your hand down and think, what wind? Of course, if you slow down to 50 miles an hour, your hand is going to be blasted by 50-mile-an-hour winds. So wind also travels at a certain speed. If you are driving at the same speed as the wind would appear calm for you. But if you're not traveling and you're staying still and the wind's moving past you 100 miles an hour, you're going to feel the wind. You're going to feel it. You're going to see, you're going to feel its effects. I mean, as I said, this is the same thing with shear. And or even if the storm is moving at the same speed as a 100-mile-an-hour wind aloft, and it's moving at 100 miles an hour, you're not going to have anything happen to the storm. It's going to basically not get sheared off, or the tops are not going to be flying off the storm, and it's going to be having healthy outflow. But if the storm is moving west at 20 miles an hour, and upper level winds are going also west at 40 miles an hour, you're going to have a 20 mile an hour displacement, and 20 mile an hour difference between the surface winds and the winds aloft, even though they're in the same direction as the storm motion and the winds aloft. So you're not really having shear exactly, but it sort of is shear. Or say you're having calm winds up aloft, but the storm is moving at 30 miles an hour or 20 miles an hour because of the trade winds, you're kind of going to have a 20 mile an hour shear. Of course, when the storm slows down and there's calm upper level winds, that's going to be a perfect breeding ground for explosive development. So, quote unquote, but the winds are definitely not very conducive for development because of strong winds aloft. Even though it's relative to the direction of the storm, the winds aloft are stronger than the storm is actually moving. So yeah, not very conducive.